Now, the South Plains first news in high definition. This is KCBD News Channel 11 at 10.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Abby Reed. Hurricane Irene made landfall along the Outer Banks this morning and it's now churning up the East Coast, threatening to cripple some of our nation's major cities. We begin our team coverage tonight with Jay Gray, who's been covering the storm from where it started, the Carolina coast.
As Irene ripped across the Outer Banks, the massive storm delivered heavy rains and harsh winds, but not the massive damage or flooding many had feared.
North Carolina and the reports that we've gotten all night and this morning is standing strong.
Trees were snapped, power lines pulled down, sand was pushed across the dunes, and the pier in Atlantic Beach was torn away. The storm is being blamed for at least 5 deaths, and as it pushed to the north, the fear of Irene's wrath was still very real for millions.
We anticipate heavy rain, potential flooding, and significant power outages throughout the area of the storm, and which means all up and down the eastern seaboard.
Thousands of sandbags were being moved into place in the nation's capital. In Maryland, crews pulled boats from the water while residents rushed to get ready. With the wind picking up, it's clear the storm is anything but fun and games. In fact, concern about Irene has essentially shut down the nation's largest metropolitan area.
This is a storm where if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, it can be fatal.
President Obama was briefed on conditions today by the director of FEMA.
The biggest concern I'm having right now has to do with flooding and power. It sounds like that's going to be an enormous strain on a lot of states, and that may take days, even longer in some cases, depending on what the track of the storm is.
A track that will affect millions as Irene makes its way up the East Coast. Jay Gray, NBC News, Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina.
And the effects of Hurricane Irene are being felt right here on the South Plains. Officials with the Lubbock Red Cross say they're on standby in case they're called into action to assist with the efforts on the East Coast. We're told they're prepared as their counterparts head up to the storm. Several days ago, Red Cross teams in the affected areas mobilized to open shelters across 6 states.
They have a lot of hurricane shelters ready to go in that area with a lot of shelter teams on standby. And the goal is to minimize the number of volunteers we have to move around the country for each event.
Nationally, 200 emergency response vehicles are standing by in case they are needed. And as the storm moves up the East Coast, residents in North Carolina are cleaning up from the remnants. One Lubbock native was there when that storm pushed through. KCBD News Channel 11's Emily Black continues our team coverage tonight.
The strong swirl of winds and rain slammed into the North Carolina coast around 7:30 this morning, leaving at least 4 dead. KK from Lubbock made it through just fine and shares her story of Irene.
During the night, we had bands of heavy rain and wind where we could hear the wind blowing the trees.
The weather couldn't be more different on the shoreline of North Carolina than at her hometown here in Lubbock. Just 5 miles from the shoreline of Oak Island, Kate hunkered down with her stockpile of food, water, prescriptions, and waited.
They made it sound like we were getting this real severe storm. So I was nervous. Then when it started coming in and the wind started blowing, you're really worried.
She spent 9 hours without power and woke up to an almost unrecognizable scene. These are photos Kate sent to us from her neighborhood Saturday morning.
We have what is normally a small creek that runs through our neighborhood. Right now it looks like a river.
Roads were closed because of debris, flooding, and downed power lines.
We came to a place where the road was flooded and trucks and vans were going through the water, and the water would be level with the bottom of the vehicles.
Massive amounts of rain and winds continue their path north to Virginia at this very moment, leaving the coastal communities of North Carolina flooded and battered. Kate says she's thankful it wasn't worse and even wishes we could share in their rain.
I wish I could bottle some of this water up and send it to you guys.
Emily Black, KCBD News Channel 11.
Also in North Carolina tonight, several Texas Tech hurricane researchers deploying probes to study the hurricane. The Texas Tech team is in Elizabeth City. That's about 50 miles inland from the Outer Banks. They're setting up probes from the Outer Banks of North Carolina to the Virginia coastline to sample wind speed, direction, temperature, and other data. The information they collect will be shared with the National Weather Service, other universities, and forecasters. And of course, for the very latest developments of Hurricane Irene, we're tracking it for you. Just visit kcbd.com. Now let's check in with meteorologist Carrie Allen, who's not only following Hurricane Irene, but also the weather here, and it's hot.
Yes, very hot today, but we avoided the record. It was only 99 at the airport. Texas Tech Mesonet stations all above 100 in Lubbock County, but the airport, maybe just a little bit of a cool dome over there. All right, we're going to start out with a view of Irene. We've been talking about that the entire newscast. We're going to start out with the satellite radar picture here. This is its current movement. It is picking up speed. It's passed through Norfolk, Virginia. It's approaching New York City, and it will do so by tomorrow. This is the path. Check it out. By Sunday, it's already into Canada. Monday, it crosses the Atlantic. That is Greenland. And then Iceland is the little island up there that you see in the upper right portion of your screen. That's Thursday. It will cross the Atlantic and end up affecting portions of Europe next week. That is what will happen with Irene. It will only be a tropical system by then. Temperature is 87 here in Lubbock right now. Humidity 22%. Our dew point is 44. It's very dry. 70 in the morning, 96 by noon, and a high of 102. I think we will beat the record tomorrow. 100 is our record. Most of our computer models have us between 100 and 104. So plenty of heat coming up, and your 7-day forecast will be on the way in just a few minutes, Abby.
Thanks, Carrie. A sad day for Lubbock ISD tonight. Award-winning teacher Bradley New has passed away from cancer. New taught science at Lubbock High School. The 38-year-old died last night after a brief battle with cancer. He received several awards for his teaching and most recently was recognized with the Beaumont Foundation's Newton Excellence in Education Award. New will be laid to rest Tuesday in his hometown of Gainesville, Texas. It was a close call tonight for some folks out on the lake when their boats crashed into one another. This happened just before 7 tonight on Buffalo Springs Lake. The Lubbock County Sheriff's Office says the two boats hit in the middle of the water. Emergency crews were called out, but nobody was transported to the hospital. No tickets were given out either. Tonight in Colorado City, friends and family gathered to honor Haley Dunn, a missing 13-year-old who disappeared 8 months ago today. Haley went missing back on December 27th. Since then, no arrests have been made, though her mother's boyfriend, Sean Adkins, remains a person of interest. A candlelight vigil in Haley's hometown wrapped up about 30 minutes ago. By the way, tomorrow will be Haley's 14th birthday. As he continues to make a remarkable recovery, Snyder police officer Daryl Campbell is also preparing for surgery. Campbell, who was shot in the line of duty last month, will undergo surgery on Monday to replace a piece of skull that was removed following the shooting. Campbell was wounded while responding to a report of shots fired. His wife Amber says he's recovering much faster than anybody expected, and she's hopeful he'll be able to return home soon. Tonight, he is in the Lubbock Rehabilitation Center. Plumes of black smoke and emergency vehicles set the scene in southeast Texas where a series of explosions rocked an oil company. It happened in Jasper County last night near the town of Beaumont at the Latch Oil facility. You can see the smoke there. The blast happened inside a pumping station which caught fire. One person was hurt and investigators are still trying to figure out what prompted those explosions. To Dallas now, where authorities say this 10-year-old boy died of dehydration. That's after his parents kept water from him as punishment for wetting the bed. The child, named Jonathan James, died last month, but tonight his parents have been jailed and charged with injury to a child causing serious bodily injury. Michael James and Tina Alberson, the parents, are accused of putting the boy in a room without air conditioning while being denied water. Back here at home, it was an all-hands-on-deck situation at the Mr. Gaddy's today where hundreds of people came out to pull a fire truck and raise money all for a good cause. Today was the second annual fire truck pull challenge, and it took place outside the Mr. Gaddy's. 12 teams and nearly 100 people pulled a 35,000-pound fire truck. Teams had to pay an entry fee to participate, and all of that money will go directly to the Special Olympics. Organizers tell us they raised more than $5,500 this afternoon. Lots of muscle there. Parents were able to get their children registered with the Children's Health Insurance Program, or CHIP, this afternoon. During the registration event this afternoon at O.L. Slayton Middle School, qualifying families filled out applications and learned more about that program. The low-cost health insurance program helps cover doctor's visits, prescription drugs, and other medical associated costs. For more information on how you can enroll your child, just visit our website, kcbd.com. More than 400 balloons filled the skies above Lubbock's Hope Lodge this afternoon. Take a look. This was all in honor of their one-year birthday. Now, as you know, the lodge is a rent-free facility. which houses those who are receiving cancer treatments but live outside of a 50-mile-an-hour radius. Today, patients and families who have stayed at the Hope Lodge came back to celebrate the event. Those balloons you see there, they symbolize every person who has stayed in the facility since it's been open.